Surely hate meeting today on Sunday because I don't know if he know it or not, but it's football Sunday. Man, I've got to. Oh, hi. How you doing?
I'm fine. How are you? This is Nikki. I'm stepping.
Sure. In a
Do you
hurry.
have a reservation?
No, I don't.
You don't?
No, I'm actually meeting a party here. He asked me to show up today, and we have a meeting. So I'm trying to really rush. You know, the 49ers are coming on today, man. And I really need to kind of get in and get this meeting over with so I can get to my game. You know, it is Sunday, right?
I'm going to try to squeeze you in table. Let me see. Okay, I had a reservation already, but they're not here. So I'll try to squeeze you into our elite table.
All right, sounds good. I'm meeting with an elite person anyway. Boy, I don't know why he picked this thing up.
Okay, so you can have a seat, sir.
All right, thank you
How many in
so
your
much.
party?
Two.
Two?
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is our non-smoking section, by the way.
Okay, good. No smoking here anyway. Oh, good boy.
Can I possibly indulge you with some coffee? while you're waiting for
Sure. Coffee's good. Something to do here. Gotta look up on here now.
Regular, no decaf, right?
It's fine. Regular's fine. I don't think I'll be here too long anyway. Got about 30 minutes before the game starts. I don't know why in the world you picked this day.
When your party comes, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Boy. Thank God for Infinity. You can see the game live. This pregame is looking good. Oh, boy, this is great. He must don't understand. You know, I look at the fact, man, I'm a 49er fan. I've been a 49er fan since the 80s. And you know, I like teams, but there's nothing like the 49ers. I mean, I can go all the way back to glory of the 49ers. When I think about the glory of the 49ers, man, I just think about Montana, Rice, Steve Young. Oh, man, I can go all the way back to 1981 with the catch. And I'm just really excited about my 49ers. There's nothing you can say about my 49ers because that's what I live for. It's nothing like being a 49ers fan. You know what I mean? And I really feel sorry for Bears fans. You know, today is the bye week and they get one more week, and on the 19th, they got to come to Candlestick and take this whooping that's coming to them for. Because they don't understand. If they don't know, they got to ask somebody. Because, boy, Frank Gore going to run all over, buddy. I don't know, you know. Bear fans, I'm so used to it. Bears need to understand. You know, one time a Bear fan called a 49er fan. And they called, and they said, he says the phone rang. He said, why don't you pick it up? He said, I ain't pick it up because they have a one ring, you know, 1985 one ring. 49ers got 5. So, you know, I kind of understand that. Most folks don't understand that. You know, the Bears fan, they still doing the Super Bowl show. You know what I mean? That been played out. I think Castleton came out with a slide and everything else since 85. Oh, I look at that. But man, you know, I really don't know why he wanted to meet me here today. He said something about he wanted to ask me a question. And you know, I kind of think about asking a question out of all the days in the world to ask a question, not on football Sunday. And, you know, he asked me this question and it kind of lined up a little bit about what it means to be a fan. And so when I thought about being a fan, I said, you know, a real fan, you know, there's different types of fans. There are bandwagon jumpers. You know, those fans that they jump on the team when they start winning. You know, with me, you come to my house, you know who I ride with. You know, it's basketball season, it's purple and gold downstairs. For those y'all don't know what purple and gold is, you know. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. The Black Mamba, you know that. You know what I'm talking about. Y'all would know, you know, y'all a little handicapped. Derrick Rose, you know, y'all would know that. When it comes to baseball, you know, it's nothing like the Angels. You know what I mean? They're not like the White Sox. You know what I mean? Win all the way to the end, then go home. I mean, what's the difference? And then, you know, the worst case scenario could be a Cubs fan, completely useless by September. I just don't understand why people even buy tickets to that. I really think people go to the Cubs game just to get drunk. They drink away their sorrows and loss, you know? So when I think about sports and I think about being a real fan, one of the things you do when you're a fan, you really invest in things. You know, I look at the fact, you know I'm a 49er fan. This is a throwback, you know what I mean? Not a Korean store, this is a throwback, you know what I mean? You see it on there. This is authentic, you know? This is a authentic jacket. Never forget it. I watched the game one time, I saw the coaches and the players having on. I said, what kind of jacket is this? So I bought me one. You ain't never seen one reversible silk on one side, man. You know, I'm a fan. You ask me the questions, Jerry Rice, and I know my stats about my Niners. Now, I don't know too much about the Bears, but I know about my Niners. And I'm here today because I got to answer this question. The question was, he asked me, am I a fan or a follower? Now, when I thought about that, I said, well, I know what it's like to be a fan because I'm really a fan. When my team is winning, you know it because I'm screaming. And when my team is down and things are not going right, I'm talking to the screen. Me and Kobe have talks all the time, all the way from Chicago to LA. Kobe, don't pass it to him. He's going to miss it. We talk all the time. But you know what? My friend said this to me, and you might see it. It says, Luke 9:23 says, if anyone would come after me, he must deny himself. Take up his cross daily and follow me. Wow. So when I thought about that, I says, follow me, follow me, follow me. And he kind of said it like this. I want to put the question to you that he put to me. He says, are you a fan or a follower? A fan or a follower? So when I kind of looked at that, I thought about this. Kind of look at this a little bit here. You just kind of see what I mean when I say a fan or a follower.
This is not the small print of the gospel. This is not some hidden message in the scripture. Jesus made it very clear that a decision to follow is a decision to die, to surrender everything to Him. And so Jesus turns to the crowd, and He turns to you and me, and He asks the one question that will ultimately define our lives. Are you a fan or a follower?
Fan or follower? Fan or follower? So that's the question he asked me. So when I thought about that, I had to break down the two words, and maybe you too. I thought about the word fan, because see, before he gets here, I really need to answer this question, because this is really, really important. The word fan, what in the world does fan mean? Well, let's think about it. The word fan is defined as an enthusiastic admirer. An enthusiastic admirer. I kind of understand it on a standpoint, because since I've been hanging with this guy, I've had an opportunity to experience fanship on two ends. I know what it's like to be a fan. I remember when most folks say, are you a 49er fan? And they say, oh, where are you from? I say, I'm from Chicago. Well, I became a 49er fan when I was in the military. I was stationed in Fort Ord. And I went to 49er games when I was in California. And when I went back to Chicago, it was even more important, because I remember I paid $500 to buy a ticket that said $48 on the face value to sit at the 50-yard line at a Monday night football game in 1990. I'll never forget it. It was the Minnesota Vikings against the 49ers. And I flew from Chicago to San Francisco, Fisherman's Wharf, took the cars, the trolley cars and everything, and that Monday night to be with all my rowdy friends at Candlestick Park. Boy, you couldn't tell me I wasn't a fan. And I'm an admirer. And my favorite 49er of all time, I got my jersey on. You see. Jerry Rice, man, the best of all time. Mississippi Valley State, the best wide receiver of all time. Jerry holds all records for receiving, yards, and touchdowns. Never got a chance to meet Jerry Rice, though. So I guess that makes me an admirer, because I think that if I ran from my seat down to the field and say, hey, Jerry, what's up? And gave him a 5, I think the police would get me before I get to Jerry. So I didn't do that. See, an admirer is a person who observes things from a distance. An admirer is a person who doesn't go to practice, who doesn't have to shoot the free throws. Most fans don't want to see the practice, they only want to see the game. They don't want to see the work that's put into it. They don't want to see the sacrifices there. They want to see what's in the game. So I want to kind of talk a little bit about this admirer, because admirer is really, really important. And the one thing that he said he wanted to meet me with, and let me tell you, if you're a friend of this person, he wanted to meet you too the same exact way. He asked me this particular question. He said he wanted to meet me here at this coffee shop because it was time for our DTR. He says, we've been friends for a long time. We've been hanging out for a long time, but it's now time for us to have our DTR conversation. And I know you might be saying, what in the world is DTR? So I'm going to show you real quickly. This is the DTR.
DTR. Some of you will recognize what those letters stand for. If you're not sure, let me help you out. If you are a young man in a relationship with a young woman, then chances are these letters are enough to strike fear into your heart. You may run away from, postpone, you may dread the DTR talk. Some young men will even terminate a relationship if they feel like the DTR talk is imminent. It is that official talk that takes place in every romantic relationship. Do you know what it stands for, DTR? Define the relationship. You sit down and you decide where things are going. Have things moved from casual to committed? I remember this date I went on in high school. On the very first date, the girl tried to have the DTR talk with me. First date, DTR. I got out of there PDQ. I just ran away.
DTR. Wow, he wanted to meet with DTR. DTR, defining the relationship. Now, you know, we've been together for a while. We've been friends for a long time. Matter of fact, he's as closer to me than a brother. But the ideal of him wanting to have this conversation with me kind of really strikes some questions, because, you know, most people don't do that in relationships. Most people just take things the way they are. And, you know, one of the things I think about when I think about defining a relationship, and that's no matter who you're with, is to figure out there's only one or two things can happen in a relationship. It's either you're building something to get closer, or the worst is that you're just wasting time. In many cases, people are not willing to face up to the DTR conversation. That's whether that's with a family member, a person you're in a romantic relationship with, or even a friend. Most of us are not willing to sit down for that DTR because we are afraid of what the real level of commitment may come out of the mouth of that individual. What you might find is what you're expecting out of that person, really they're not willing to give. The love you're looking for, maybe they're not in it for love. Maybe they're in it for compassion, or maybe they're in it for companionship. It's really important that you figure out that every relationship you're in, it has to have value, or you have to get rid of it. So he said, I'm going to give you three things real quickly, Glenn, and I really hope you hurry up and get it. Remember, game time is going to start in a little bit. He said the first thing he wanted to talk to me about was, he says, think about this question, why are you here? He wanted to know, why was I here in this relationship? Out of all of the people in the world I could pick to be in a relationship with, why did I pick him? And so when I thought about it, I started looking back at some of his life and some of the relationships. And if you haven't realized who I'm talking about yet, I'm talking about Jesus. I looked at John chapter 6. And in John chapter 6, beginning in verse number 2, God started talking about this relationship he had with a large group of people that kind of resembled Candlestick Park on a Sunday morning. There were people coming from everywhere because they had heard that Jesus was doing things, and a lot of folks just like to be around excitement and people doing things. But in verse number 2, he talked about the fact of why the crowds were following him. And sometimes I think about that in my life. Why are people following me sometimes? Sometimes I have to look at it the same way that Jesus did. In verse number 2, he said this. He said they weren't following me because they wanted to get to know me. They were following me because of the things that I was doing, because of the miracles, because of the food that I was providing, because of the blessings that I'm giving. And you know what? So many people today want to be friends with Jesus just because he can pay your bills. Just because he can get you a job. Just because you want to do it. But see, the key is God says he wants you to get to know him, not know of him. And so when I think about that, the key verse to that is found in verse 66. And if you look at John 6 and 66, it says this. From this time, many of the disciples turned back and no longer followed him. See, what happens is that many people that you get into relationships with, when they realize that you are requiring sacrifices from them in order to be in a relationship with them, they're not willing to do it. And what they do is they walk away. There were many people who said that they were following Jesus. But when they realized that Jesus was requiring something more than just being a fan of his, he was requiring a sacrifice, many of them walked away. So when I think about that question, I don't think it's just my question. I think it's your question. I think that's a question you should even ask, not just to yourself, to Jesus, but even with the people you're in relationship with. Ask people sometimes, why are you here? There are many other people you could be with. Why me? Why are you here? Well, the second question he gave me, and this one is a great one, it says, are you all in? Because, see, one thing I know about being a fan is either you all in or you're not. See, the worst thing I like is I like sitting around fans that can root on their team from game one. You know what I mean? Real 49er fans were there when the first kickoff went off. Not to run around and say I'm a Niner fan because they 6-2. But you were with us when we lost to the Giants. And I mean, we really lost to the Giants. And those are the type of fans that are with them, watch this, not just fair weather fans, but fans that are with them in the good times and in the bad. I remember we were last place in the NFC before the Frank Gore days. I remember when Alex Smith was drafted and he was supposed to be the savior of the 49ers. And for the first 4 years, he was the worst quarterback ever for the 49ers. But you know what? Even through those times when we were 2-10 and 3-5, I was there cheering on my Niners because, watch this, I was not just an admirer of the team. I was truly a fan. I'm a person that when it comes to being a fan and admirer, I'm all in. When it comes to relationships, you don't have to worry about am I with you when you're doing well. Everybody can clap for you when you're doing fine. The real truth is, are they with you when you're down? So the second question he asked me was, he says, are you all in? And here's the thing that he told me. He says, in order to be with him, in order to be in a relationship with him, it requires complete commitment. Complete commitment. In order for me to say that I'm all in with Jesus, I have to be completely committed. And then here's what he says. He says you have to be absolutely loyal. Absolutely loyal. See, absolutely loyal is, I get people now, I'm a Lakers fan, they say, oh, the Lakers are 0-3, what do you think? First 3 games of the season will never make a championship. Talk to me in May and June, okay? See, that's when you look at the fact that you're saying a game is not, one game doesn't make the season. It's the whole season. So the key is whether or not you're completely committed. And that's in any relationship. Are you completely committed to your marriage? Are you really completely committed to your relationships with your friends? See, you got to think about the fact. We as Christians, we can't follow Jesus being selective in our commitments. We either have to be completely in or you're completely out. So he asked me that. He says, why are you here? Number 2, the second question he asked me are you all in? And so then the third one is this, have you made it on your own? You know, I got to hurry up and do this because the game's going to start a little bit, so you got to finish it. Have you made it on your own? See, some of us are in relationships with people to appease others. Some of us, we're friends with other people because of who they know. Some of us are dealing with people to appease others. You're in a relationship with somebody because your mother likes that guy. Or you're in a relationship with that girl because it's a fan favorite of your family. And some of us are doing things just to appease. Well, let me bring it back to the point. A lot of us are in the churches we're in because we're appeasing family members. I go there because that's where my mama went, or my grandmama went. That's where our history is in this place, to appease people. So here's the thing. Part of have you made on your own is this. You got to make your own faith decision. You got to say to yourself, I'm looking for a relationship between me and Jesus. See, what Jesus asked me with today, if you notice, my wife and my kids are not here. Jesus is not asking for a relationship with me, my wife, and my kids. He wants a relationship with me. He's not asking you to get into one person, represent the family. He's asking for you to be in a relationship with him. He's not looking for a relationship between you and your wife, just you and him. So there are many reasons why. Look what Jesus says in Luke 14:26. He says, if anyone, this is why he's telling us, the relationship has to be singular, not plural. If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and his mother, his wife and his children, his brothers and his sisters, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. You can't have any attachments to anybody. Jesus wants somebody who's all in or you're all out. Matter of fact, I remember another scripture where it says that the last days, many people who said they knew Jesus will stand before him and say, Lord, Lord, I went to good seed. Lord, Lord, I gave in the offering basket. Lord, Lord, I prayed. And it says he's going to look at you and say, I never knew you. Get away from me. And what he's saying is, you might have known of me, but you don't know me. Jesus is saying to us today, and what he's asking us to do in this relationship today, is to sit down and define the relationship. Are you just a fan? Are you just here in admiration of Jesus? Do you just have on the Jesus jersey and say, go, Jesus, go. Go, Jesus, go. Or are you part of the team, the committed followers that say, I have sold out. I carry my cross daily because Jesus is me and you against the world. And so this is not about us. So when I think about this fact, I think about the fact, am I really a fan of Jesus, an enthusiastic admirer, or am I really a follower? I think it's really time I sit down and determine or define my relationship, because that's the key. It's one thing to know of Jesus, but it's really another thing to know him. So the question for you today is, have you sat down and defined your relationship? Do you know of him, or do you know him? Let me get back to this real quick.